one falling down. Drowning in the body go. Going round with the crowd. Riding with his baby down.
Now they're all looking for a new stimulation. Next revelation, see them go for the same fabrication. Discrimination, classification, jarring internet masturbation, agitation, allegation, suffocation, aggravation, all through the nation, termination, extermination, deflagration with no explanation.
Brightest star I know, yeah, floating in the air. That's a shining stars, do they even care? Another one falling down. Drowning in the body go. Going out with the crowd. Riding with her baby doll. You are the now. You are the us now. So pick one random someone for your enemy. Click one random button for your ecstasy. Aim and play, escape too late. Can't run from it. Burn in flames, unsafe too late. Now you're Down in the body go. Going well with the crowd. Riding with his baby doll. Another one falling down. Down in the body go. Going well with the crowd. Riding with her baby doll. You are the now. You are the now.
First thing, how about this laser cut? Gyoko, Sunbo, Kohai, Sinap, Micron, sing at a capsule board. High precision, psycho decision, it lasts and homes. Bite the noise. Chick I played on the steel with you, my right. Buckle up, we're gonna see the hatch inside. Navigated to the point that they're zone. Guess messing out need the manifold. I'm told we gotta leave the fresh behind. No, I keep on the back, we must be one. Just like the cotton and leaves, the right humanity needs. So just a few tether leaves. Galvanized for glory. Spot me up and storm it. Cause that's a shit to know it. Discharge your so giant gun. I'm bleeding. Just stop the kid to board it. Spot your green and Nazi. But not no dog. Strap in and put your go-go's on. Loco, demo, yokai, Krista. This making any I never stop. Fabrication, let's men upon your king and sauce. I did look. That is so much cool. 만났어도 shattered by the sun. So we hop into absolute 요절에 우가 fabulous love. Join the acts of fate, don't you lose control. 하고 계셔니 다 existing now. Galvanized for glory. Spot me up and storming. 그따뜻한 시도의 노래. Discharge your soul, giant God, I'm bleeding. To stop the kingdom falling. 사바도 green and nazi, but not no dirt. Shattered by the sun, so we hop into 싹둑 요절에 우가 fabulous love. Join the acts of fate, don't you lose control. 하고 계셔니 다 existing now.
Pilot proceeding on board.
もしもあの改札の前で立ち止まらず歩いていれば君の顔も知らずのまんま幸せに生きていたら悪かもしもあの裏門を越えて外へ抜け出していなければ仰ぎ見た星の輝きも靴の汚れに変わっていた寝転んだリノリウムの上逆立ちしてスリムいた量でここも銀河の果てだと知ってめまいがした夜明け前聞こえて答えて届いて欲しくて光って光って光って叫んだ金網を越えて転がり落ちた切な世界が今増えてく飛び出していけ宇宙の彼方目の前を打ち抜く不圧はただひたすら認めてたあざも傷も知らずに何光年と離れてても生み出した体が止まらない今君の声が遠く聞こえてる光ってく改め口の中くくり抜け旗を突き刺す粒子路地裏の夜空に流れ星ひどく逃げまとうネズミもしもあの人混みの前で君の手を離さなければもしも不意に出たあの声をきつく飲み込んでいればもしもあの改札の前で立ち止まらず歩いていれば君はどこにもいやしなくて僕もここにいなかったあの日君が放ったボールが額に当たって倒れる切な僕は確かに見たネイビーの空を知った飛行機雲これが愛だと知った飛び出していけ宇宙の彼方目の前を打ち抜く
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Moonbow Network episode 7. I am joined by the wonderful, the immaculate, the incredibly hardworking TheGP. How are you doing today, brother?
I mean, with that sort of introduction, I'm not going to be feeling bad.
So today, as the title suggests, we are going to be going over pretty much every new piece of information that has been released over the past couple of weeks. So from the AMA, from the stream on the 23rd, just as much as you can think of, we're going to try and cover all of it. Just to let you know, I do have the release times up here just now. So if you are concerned about what time it's actually going to be live in your region, there you go. For me, it's going to be 5 a.m. and I get home from work at about 11:30, 11:45 p.m. So I'm going to sleep as much as I can, wake up, start streaming Mecha Break. Although potentially the first maybe hour and a half to 2 hours is going to be server problems because of the amount of people, which is a good problem to have, of course. But, you know, we're all incredibly excited to start playing this game. And of course, the Moonbow Network and World Break, which is the lore podcast, will continue after the game launches. But, you know, we all have plans, all the content creators, all the mods, and yeah, it's just going to be a very busy and exciting and hype time. So, without further ado, I'm going to let GP go through his list of things that he wanted to go through from top to bottom. And then finally, because it's the longest and most quote-unquote most important part of the new stuff, we're going to go over every change that I have listed since the February open beta test. And I have the list on a WordPad document in front of me. If there's anything wrong or different or I missed something, I do apologize. I'm only human and I can only gather so much data. And Gunlay definitely asked me not to do this, but I'm going to do this because it's hilarious. He is actually a major contributor to this document. So if anything is wrong or I missed something out, go blame him. Let's
you
get
know.
into it, GP. Where should we start?
I mean, where do we start? That's I mean, let's just start in terms of like, let's say we're gonna open up the game here. First implementation, everybody's gonna be happy about it. Being able to skip the tutorial for
Oh,
those who have played multiple betas, you no longer
hmm
have to go through that tutorial again. You could just go through and skip it and just get right into the game.
yeah.
Great quality of life improvement. I have no complaints about it. Just skimming over a few things before we get into the nitty gritty stuff. Obviously, the hangar gets lots of
Mm,
improvements in terms of interactability. From what I saw, they have a computer that has lore tabs in it, which is going to go well for the lore nerds out there who wish to know more about the world that we're in.
for sure.
Um, Working out, being able to sit down, take pictures, the photography, those who love to do character poses, stuff like that, show off their person that they've created.
Hmm
Huge deal. But first and foremost, I'm gonna leave the new maps, the strikers and stuff towards the end because that's gonna fit more into
Sure.
um, kind of the striker changes and overall gameplay changes. Let's
Very
just
true.
talk about the in-game market.
Sure, but just very quickly, GP, you were talking about poses and the hanger and stuff. There is
Right.
that so two things. There's that classic kind of Gundam pose, the one that if you've watched Iron Blooded Orphans, especially, Orga Itsuka uses during the anime. But then there's also quite hilariously a way to do the Yamcha pose when he gets blown up, and I love that
There
from
is
ASG. It's so cool. Everybody knows the meme, and I'm so happy they put it in. But apologies for interrupting. Go ahead.
no, you're good. You're good. Interrupt me all you want. I don't care. I ramble on a ton. That's how I am. But I think it's cool that there are more ways for community members to actually go about obtaining Corite, which is the premium currency in the game, and having that a capability of, hey, if you're someone who actually spends a lot of time customizing their character, making something unique that someone would want,
Mhm.
they're actually going to benefit from putting it up on the market and actually allow yourself to get more premium currency in the game, which, let's say you do something really, really cool and a ton of people love it, you'll probably be set on premium currency for a while.
True.
I think it's a good thing that it's in the game even in the first place.
Yeah,
Gives
I
more
agree.
people options instead of spending their own cash for it. I don't
Hmm.
see really any downsides. If anything, CSUN does get their little tax cut whenever you do the transaction. If you put something up for 200 core, right? CSUN does get their little tax cut of 40. But it just kind of reminds
Yeah,
me of like a Steam marketplace type of deal.
that's true. I don't think you're gonna be. How do I word this? I think it's gonna be a lot less toxic as Steam Marketplace, especially for stuff like CS skins and things like that. Because it doesn't seem like you can go way too overboard. Because while you can price your own presets, for example, for an amount of core, right? I don't think anything's going to be so extortionate that you're going to be charging like 10,000 core for a preset, even if it is of your favorite character from Darling in the Franks, for example.
Right. The only thing I am curious about is let's say you get a preset, but it has um a piece of gear or equipment that you haven't unlocked yet.
Mm.
Would that also allow you to still have that on your character? Or
Oh,
would it
true.
remove it? Because let's say you do have something like the Falcon collection where it's a unique cosmetic and it's on a mech and you're able to put that preset up, could you technically sell that preset?
That's a really interesting question. I would assume no, just because obviously you don't have that custom item. Um, so
Right.
it would be weird to be able to just pay for it with Corite for a preset. But then I guess the kind of downside would be because it's part of that preset, if you do buy it and are able to wear that specific piece of equipment, if you wanted to change your pilot, then you would be forced to unequip all of the custom changes that you bought. So I can see merits to both systems. I'm not too bothered by it because it'd be relatively easy to find out if somebody just bought a custom pilot customization, for example, that had all of the unique items unlocked from like battle passes or skins that you bought with Korite, it'd be easy to figure out that they did that and are keeping that on rather than wanting to edit their pilot and having unlocked it before.
But I mean, otherwise, if I'm not mistaken, you can. It's not only pilot, but I did think I saw something about mech presets in terms of customizations also being up on the market. So I'm excited what
Okay.
sort of customization features that will come with mechs and kind of the overall build people are gonna do. I know we had the striker painting competition that happened where people were submitting their
Mm.
strikers to be looked at by the CSUM team.
Mhm.
And I'm excited as to what capabilities are going to be going forward with what sort of customizations people are going to have. So I'm
Yeah,
excited for it. I think it's a good community building tool rather than everybody being out on their own. It's a good way for people to
it's
collaborate
true.
together.
It's very true. I think we're going to have to watch out for the customization seller mains in the game because there's going to be some potentially dodgy stuff that even ASG aren't going to be able to anticipate. But you know, the team seem to be pretty on it, especially the mod team. So I'm not too worried. It's just something to keep an eye on.
Since we're talking about customization, I think we should just skim over it real quick. We all know about the collection coming out for Falcon,
Oh,
the collection box.
yeah, it's very
Big.
very nice.
It's very nice, but also sad face that it's only in the US and Japan.
Hmm.
That's the main point. Still no price out on it. But
Don't you? Yeah, exactly what Birdie is saying. Don't you mean 9,999,999,999,999 dollars? Don't you mean that?
you know what's crazy is that that could just wipe out, maybe we could get Bezos over here and give us some money to help out.
Hey, look, if as much as everybody hates the person who runs it, Amazon is a great service, and if ASG partner with Amazon and he just lends a fuck ton of money to just send stuff out, I'm for it. I want that Falcon figure. I want those badges. I want that mat. I want everything.
But I will say the fact that you do at least get the skin in game as well as physically in person, I do think that is gonna be a highly sought after. But
Yeah.
I don't think it shows how many are actually gonna be out in the wild. I saw some
Mm.
1400 units. That's how many are gonna be out in the wild.
Is
So
that what it says? I'm on the
yep.
page for it now.
Second page. If you scroll all the way down under
Okay.
limited release, 1400 units.
Okay. PSA,
So
if there's any American out there who really likes what I do, like really likes what I do, if you buy one, I will cover the cost and shipping and give you a little bit extra on top if you just get one and ship it to me. That call out, all right? I
I
want it. That's all I'm going to say.
right. The difficulty is it is limited one per person.
Yeah, exactly. So they'll buy it for me and that will be the one per person.
Um I will say I don't know personally how I feel about the character. Um you could claim it in game to recruit Leonie.
Oh,
Um
right, yeah.
I hope that this is a special version in which she has some sort of different outfit or maybe like visual effects. But I hope there is another version of her that you can at least get in game, and that's not the only way to get it.
Yeah, I have a feeling that they'll probably put her up on the cash store at some point because there's stuff like that are in-game items that feel a little bit it stings a little bit more if it's something that you can just I say but just upload onto your store and just have people pay for rather than it being a very expensive molding and casting process for how many 1400 Falcon models, and then paying for the mats and paying for the
Right.
badges that ASG have to do. So I expect that stuff like that will be up on the marketplace at some point for $15, 15 quid, something like that.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Continuing on, going into talk about the season 0 pass.
Yes.
So, obviously, in the past, it's still based around Inferno. It's the same name, Rain of Fire. We all know that.
Fire.
But I will say the cosmetics that come in the season pass, I'm excited for.
Mhm.
Gives a grind for it, especially now that Mare points, from my understanding, are available to obtain in 6v6 and Operation Verge, as well as Mashmac. So you no longer have to grind just Mashmac in order
Yeah.
to
Because
actually go about
they're called mission
getting
tokens
those.
now, aren't they? Or at least that's what it was translated to during one of the live streams. Like, I don't know if that's purely because you get them from more things, like the actual missions that you get daily, plus being able to get them from completing slash winning games. But yeah, it is very nice that you aren't just limited to MMK for that.
I am wondering, though, the best way to grind those out. I feel like Mashmac is still probably going to be the most efficient.
Hmm.
But obviously, if you're just grinding the 6v6, you're not going to have a problem of getting those items in the first place. Because right now we already knew about Panther, if I'm not mistaken, Elizni's,
Oh,
and then
the weapon thingy. Talk about those.
yeah, the
Yeah.
yeah the fire weapons, and then I think Lumine was the other one with
Did Lumine have
hers.
something in the last beta? I honestly can't remember.
I
I can
don't think
only
she had something in the last beta, but I think it was teased in the
Oh, in the
AMA.
trailer. Okay, probably. You might be right. I think just as a kind of aside to that, I was having this conversation a couple of days ago, and the distribution of merit tokens is going to be either very fair or very disproportionate. In my opinion, I think that rewarding somebody for completing and extracting a Mashmac game is more deserving of somebody who wins a 6v6 Verge game just by virtue of the length of time it takes. And especially if you're in a higher difficulty Mashmac, I think you should be rewarded more mission tokens for completing that feat rather than a game of Verge or a game of Ace Arena. And other people disagree, which is fair because you don't, as a player, you don't really want to be, I guess, discriminated against because of what you choose to play. But I think it's more of a time reward ratio that would be the fairest way to go about it. What do you think about it, GP?
So, from my understanding, at least in the previous playtest,
Hmm.
how it worked, at least in Mashmac, it was a combination of different things. It was a combination, pretty much what it put together was your damage, your enemies killed, and all it did was take that and pretty much divide it by 100, and whatever that score was, your score at the end of the match divided by 100 was how many points you got. So it
Yeah.
wasn't, you had to focus on objectives. If you wanted to get more points out of it, you had to go farm bosses, go farm the kills, and actually focus on heavy, high intense and objectives
Yeah.
rather than just kind of playing passive. Because the risk, even if you died, you didn't lose out on those points. You just want to have the multiplier at the end that gave you those extra points. So
Yeah.
I really think Mashmech, and at least how the point system worked then, is pretty well thought out. I just don't know for 6v6 if they're going to go off of a point system or like after every
Mm.
match, like a win would give you a certain amount and a loss would give you a certain amount.
That's a good point actually, because you live or die by the MVP mostly by sitting on an objective, either yours or the opponents if you're in payload or if you deliver the most keys in Eye of Mizra. So if they do it by overall score, then people who play the objective the most would potentially get the most mission tokens at the end, but then that obviously skews heavily depending on which striker you're playing on which map. Like if you're on Eye of Mizra, for example, you want a Falcon or a Sky Raider or even a Tricera to be delivering keys because they're harder to kill. But you know, if you're a Panther and your objective is to be an annoying little mosquito melee boy, you're really not going to be getting that many objective points. So I just, who knows how they're going to do it? It would have been nice to know, but the fact that you can earn mission tokens in everything now is good anyway. Good change.
Good change makes people happy, and if you grind it enough, eventually you'll get what you want.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
at the end of the day, I'm not going to be mad about it, especially since that everybody's going to be happy. Sure, some people may disagree with, how quickly it's happening, and maybe they would want it to be quicker, but at the end of the day, nothing you could really do about that.
True. Just very quickly as well, do you know if there is going to be the same cap on weekly? I mean, if it's going to be 6K cap a week for mission tokens, or if it's going to be 15K so that you can earn enough to just buy a striker from the store, or is it going to be uncapped and you just have to continuously work your way through?
No clue on that.
Fair
I have no information on that.
Gotcha.
But
No worries.
altogether in season 0, in terms of the cosmetics, support jet wings, so that's Lumine. It's all based around fire, the Rain of Fire, Scorching Fire,
Yeah.
the Lance for Panther, and then the Battle Halberd for Elisnes. And then you could get the bar access, the gym access, and then you also have the different patterns for the max and the frame for your player card. So
Mhm.
quite a few different cosmetics to farm if you wanted to go after it. I think it's good end game stuff. But admittedly, most people are just going to be going for the new strikers. So
Yeah. It would make sense that they have a 15K cap for mission tokens because that seems to be the most expensive thing in the store that you can buy with mission tokens. So, you know, if you want to
Yeah.
get a whole new striker for your roster, it will cost you the cap for the week. But if you're not too bothered about Inferno, Serenith, or Stellaris, then you just get some cosmetics. I think that's a pretty good
Or
trade off.
or if you want to, you could try renting out a mech for 7 days to see how you like it before you pull the trigger.
Free 7-day trial from minute one once you open the game. To be honest, that is exactly what I'm going to do. Minute one, I get through my customization, I skip the tutorial, I get to the store, 7-day trial for Stellaris, and I'm only putting that in my pool when I queue up. I don't
Yep.
care what anybody says. I'm learning Stellaris, and that's my boy. I'm a weeb at heart. I need me my katana stealthy hit and run mech. It's what I need. I'm so happy.
Stealthy, hit and run, invis, glass cannon. Let's just talk about the new mechs. They've been here. We've talked. We need to talk about them.
All right, let's do it.
Stellaris. I mean, Kirito, Sao, dual wielding blades.
It's true.
OP. You know, everybody loves a mech that is just like, yeah, I'm gonna go in. I'm gonna fuck shit up. Let's let's do
It's
it.
so true.
But, from the gameplay that we did see, at least in the AMA, it is very obvious to note that not very strong. But I could see it being really good as people say, oh, it's kind of meant to be played alone. Oh, let's not, flank, try to get, their
Yeah.
attention away and stuff like that. But in my opinion, at least, I think Stellaris will work better in a group just because you're going to have less eyes on them. If you're able to, as a group, catch someone off guard while they're not paying attention and just kind of solo focus them, 9 times out of 10, you're probably going to win that 1v1.
Mm-hmm. I don't think it's for a very similar reason. I don't think it's going to be meta at all, but it's going to be incredibly fun to play. and kind of similarly to Spider-Man in Marvel Rivals and I guess Genji in Overwatch, a really good Stellaris player can make or break a game just because of how good they are at being what the mech excels at. Like, do you do a combo once you dash in after stealth and then you re-stealth after you've run away? Do you try and duel the lighter mechs like healers, for example? And then even if you die in the process, are you just going to risk your damage for their healing? So say you kill a Lumine or a Pinaka, is it worth it to just take that fight? And if you get shot down, it's better for your team because essentially, if they can't outheal the damage that you continue to output, who knows? But yeah, a very strong Stellaris is definitely going to be a make or break striker. But if you're looking for meta, I don't think he's going to be meta at all.
I could see some combos coming out, especially if it's going to be a full melee squad running the Panther, the Eliznice, and the Stellaris, but also running a Panaka with it and just throwing your shield on the Stellaris to give it
Yeah.
heals plus the shield protection. It could work out actually quite well. It's just if the enemy team recognizes, hey, there's a Stellaris here and just focuses, it's going to be instant death.
Hmm.
So
That's
it's
true.
really on the Stellaris player to recognize what situation they're in and what's going to benefit them most. Because if even someone's in the back lines, let's say I'm Carib sinkhole a little bit
Mm.
and they're off to the side, you could get easy picks.
Yeah.
So I
And
wouldn't
do we?
say it's awful, but it's going to require more team coordination than any other mech, I feel.
Yeah, I agree with that. We don't have actual damage numbers even on the website, do we? So we don't really
Nope.
know how damaging it's going to be to do that for any of the ultra heavies. Like Stego, maybe you'll have a chance? Question mark. Especially since they've lowered its HP, and if you do uh, stealth, dash in, Stellaris combo, funnels, while you coordinate with your team, maybe your Falcon and your Tricera, maybe your Welkin or your Ali, for example. Even at ultra heavy could potentially go down very, very quickly. Tricera without any significant nerfs, I'm not sure. But it's all speculation, and Solaris could be the best striker they've ever released. Although I will say, from experience, new strikers are always seen as OP by people who don't particularly understand the game all that well. So I'm so ready to be called carried if I win any game with Stellaris. Like, it's gonna happen.
No, I don't know if I'll be playing Stellaris much. I'm definitely
Mm.
going to be a Serenith person, but that's because I am going to be focusing on Mashmac more than I am 6v6 or 3v3 off the bat.
Oh, dude, the I didn't even think about Serenith on Mashmac. That's gonna be
Yeah, Serenith on
crazy.
with
Aquila,
the walls, the
Serenith,
far range.
and
Yeah.
Pinaka. Oh wow, that's actually gonna be a disgusting comp.
I would say at least for me, if you were to run it, you could run a Naru, an Aquila, and a Serenith and just do long range. Like that
True,
would be
you could.
you could just run full long range. But Serenith is the tank counter in the game now,
Yeah, true.
especially with the orbital AoE effect, which can damage teammates. So stop killing your friendly Stellaris. Because I could already imagine that happening. The Stellaris is on, a Tricera or a Stego,
Yeah,
and next thing you know, you have an orbital strike on you and you die from it. I could see that happening
the
pretty
orbital strike is
often.
such a cool thing.
It is, but I think it's a great tank counter. Because the
Yeah, for sure.
difficulty is like tanks right now. They're difficult to stagger, so melee units aren't the best against them. Especially Tricera, all you have to go is in turret form and it auto staggers pretty much any melee attack. And
Yeah. Mhm.
yep. And Serenith is just that counter to any sort of tanky role. Now, with its orbital strike, if you don't move, you're just gonna have to eat all that damage. So
It's true. I think there will definitely be game modes where Serenith is 100% a pick. I'm just thinking for not crowd, for Misra, so key collection. I don't know how effective it's going to be because even if somebody is staying on the point exclusively with, say, a Welkin box, um, oh well, that's another point. Actually, we're talking about like comps and stuff. Does Welkin box survive that long against orbital strike? Or are there any shields that actually just get completely decimated? So maybe it is really strong for key collection. Man, you know that beautiful mind scene where he's just seeing all the calculations and stuff. This
All
is
the
how it's gonna
numbers
be.
and
Yeah, that's like every time I say a thing, and then another thing pops into my head, and then that leads on to another thing. It's gonna
right.
be great to figure
But
out.
it's such a beautiful time for the game because we have yet to flush everything out, and as the additions of strikers come in, it's just going to change up team comps and metas,
Mm.
and we're going to see what people really get into. But I will say with Serenith, I think it's going to be valuable in pretty much most game modes, especially since most of the capture game modes, whether it's Krab Sinkhole or I Am Misra with the key capture, as long as someone's taking damage, they can't capture it.
Mm.
So if you're just calling in orbitals on a key and they don't have a welcome to put up a box or anything like that, you could pretty much stop any of that from happening.
Hmm.
Now, admittedly, you'll probably run out of ammo at some point, but you can at least hold it off.
Yeah. And of course, we're thinking in terms of the Serenith being just left alone in this instance. But of course, if people are running, say, Falcon or Sky Radar or Aquila, Naru, it's likely that the Serenith is going to be a top 3 target just because of how much damage it can
100%.
output on static targets. So, you know.
Plus the wall hacks.
Oh, yeah, mate, the wall hacks on Serenith are just mental. Like, the cooldown's long, but it's such a interesting ability.
Right. Because even if you don't have a clear line of sight, it's an orbital strike. You could just call that in from above.
Hmm.
But if I think it works the way it does, certain maps like the 3v3 Sky City map, if you're inside a building, I don't think that's gonna hit you. So suddenly
Yeah.
when you go inside buildings, I feel like it's gonna not work
I'll
as
work as
well in
well.
terms of a team comp.
Hmm. That
But
continues to evolve the meta on different game modes, right? Because if you have a lot of inside points, like that new map that we saw that has the water, which
yeah,
could be a good segue to the next bit. Um, if you're inside taking C and B, then Serenith is going to be useless for 2/3 of point contention. It could only be useful for A, which is right in the middle. But then you have to think about the fact that it's energy weapons, and energy weapons deal less damage while you're in water, or if the beam is going through water. So, you know, it's crazy that we thought that bunker comp was going to be so dominant when the game came out, unless something like Serenith happened, and then as if by magic, Serenith happened,
and it happened. Right.
and it's so nice. Um,
It's just
yeah.
Season sitting there watching everything unfold like, yo, fools, fools.
I would like to think that ASG have, a psychic just locked in a room somewhere predicting the future so they know what to make. But I have a feeling, unless you know more than I do, that ASG because they said they have 6 strikers ready to go. That Serenith was one of the 6, but from the response of the community by Bunker Comp being so strong, they thought instead of this other one that we're releasing with Stellaris, let's give them Serenith so that they know that we're listening. That's my
I mean,
conspiracy theory for the day.
it's not a bad theory. I mean, if you look at overall meta,
Mm.
the meta that we did have, at least in the beta and what we saw, was I wouldn't say it wasn't fun, but it definitely was like everybody stuck to the same thing. There
Hmm.
was very obvious choices, and now with Serenith, you know, Serenith is going to be a key part of every meta, but now everything else has changed to be around Serenith, most likely.
Yeah, more than likely, I would say for sure.
But since you mentioned the striker, we're already getting into it. Let's just dive deep
Do it.
into
Let's go.
uh, the changes that you had sent me with all the different strikers. I mean, let's just talk about it. New maps, your strikers have different levels of speed. If you go in water as a falcon, you can't fly anymore. I mean,
Hmm.
changes to everything, which is gonna change the meta. It's
It's true.
different way to play the game.
Do you think the lunar map is going to change much? Because I don't remember from the stream seeing that anybody had a negative effect on it. It just seemed like everyone is just a little bit quicker. In Falcon's case, he's a lot quicker. Um,
I
yeah, I
mean,
don't
we
remember
could see
any.
Sky Raider Falcon usage increase on there for sure.
Hmm, true.
You know, but I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing because we're gonna see more people use that and they don't know what they're doing.
Do absolutely. It's going to be a problem for like the first month. People not realizing how fast you can go.
But if the increase is noticeable enough to where it actually could kind of make somewhat of a difference, it will be interesting to see slower strikers possibly have increased movement
Mm.
and maybe be able to do a little bit more movement around the map and have a little bit different of a play style.
Yeah.
At least on I Am Mizra, if you were playing a tank, you had to choose a spot to go to and you had to stick with it until that spot was done. You
Yeah.
couldn't hop from one objective to another. You had to stick with where you were at.
Hmm.
So if now we have a striker that's more capable of being able to move around, you could probably be more of a benefit to your team.
Yeah, definitely. That I'm still thinking about that lunar map and your point about if you were a tank, you just had to kind of sit until you and your team captured a key there, and then follow them to the upload point. I For some reason I think that lunar map actually had points that were further apart because of the generally increased speed. I
Mhm.
could be wrong, but for some reason it felt like points were just further apart based on the increased speed that everyone seemed to get, which is a good thing. It's not just we're increasing the speed, but we're keeping objectives the same distance together, so you get to things quicker. No, it's offset by the increased affinity, especially for, like you say, the flyers, Falcon and Sky Raider.
One thing I will say that I do like about the new moon map is the fact that, if I'm not mistaken, B point, or it might have been A point, but it it's closer, I would say, towards the middle of the map, the inside fighting area. Because one of my
Yeah.
biggest issues with Aya Misra is you were able to pretty much hold 2 points outside just by sitting in the middle of them. And it made it so if both points were on outside, you could kind of focus both points at the same time. You didn't have to pick and choose specifically one.
Okay.
So by having a point that's, kind of splitting things up, it made it a little bit more even or balanced, and you had to choose a direction you wanted to go.
Mm. Okay.
Past that, the underwater map.
Yes, of course.
I,
The one where Falcon becomes next to useless.
Falcon becomes a useless piece of junk, and nobody wants to play them anymore. Yep.
Hmm. I mean, what are your thoughts in general about that kind of environmental hazard slash striker affinity? Like, I personally am okay with it because I feel like they've balanced it well. Like I was saying, C and B are inside, and it has a pretty decent field of view from if you're outside at certain angles where you can launch your rockets or your jammers from Sky Raider. But I I don't know if I want them to expand on it for other maps and game modes, in the danger that they go a bit too overboard because of how well it seems to be received. Yeah, what are like your thoughts?
I think it's a healthy balance of having modes or maps where it's like, hey, nothing's going on. Like the original maps were balanced so everybody could use them. This is getting into the territory of mixing that up a little bit more.
Mm.
Um, I think it's good, at least for the Falcon and Sky Raider aspect, to have these maps because it encourages people to play different strikers more often rather than being a one trick
Yeah,
player.
that's true.
Because everybody obviously has a main, but if you want to get better at the game, you have to learn how to operate under multiple different strikers and still have a
Yep.
good performance. So I think this would push that. Or if you really wanted to, you could go the exact opposite on the map. You could say, hey guys, we're going to run the Sky Raider and the Falcon. We're not going to care about A point at all. And we're just going to focus on B and C points and just win by that.
You twice now you have actually taken the words right out of my mouth. When we saw that stuff during when it was being streamed, that's exactly what I said. Because I can't remember what the map is called with the capture the points, but a really good strategy is to capture two, one middle, and then one of the ones at the flank, so that you have coverage and you can support one from the middle, or you can support the middle from one of the flanks. And forcing a team to have to choose to focus on one means that everybody is able to converge very quickly if they say focus on, let's say you've got A and B and the team the enemy team only has C, and they say, you know what, we need to dive A right now because we're losing. You could just gather up and have a 6v6 on A while you're still winning the fight, or while you're still winning the match, because you've been smart about it rather than trying to separate your team between all 3 points. So yeah, we think exactly the same, GP. I'm telling you.
But also, the water is not deep enough to where, Sky Raider and Falcon could at least get some of their abilities off. So I do
Mm.
find that at least nice that they're not completely out of play. But if you are going to be fighting in the center a lot and focusing on the center point, it is one thing that you're going to have to at least be mindful of.
Hmm.
Now, how I view it in terms of let's say and talk about a solo player, most solo players are not going to want have a Falcon on the map just based on the fact that
True.
coordinating that amount as a 6v6 team is going to be difficult for most solo players just solo queuing into games.
Yep.
So I'm not going to see that map, at least in terms of ranked grind and stuff like that, probably having that level of team comp. But, in the future, during the actual competitive scene going forward, it's definitely plays like that are definitely going to be happening.
Yeah. I mean, it comes back to your point about not being a one trick, right? It's fine if you are, but you're going to be a much more valuable member of even a solo queue random team if you're able to pick around what other people play. So, PSA, don't be a one trick. Like GP says, you might have a main, but if you want to be useful for your team, it's not just about kills, it's about being able to expand on your skill set. So, yeah.
Unless you're a Lumine and Panaka player, then you're just support for the rest of your life.
Mm.
So
Crowd Sinkhole is Corite extractors, isn't it?
it's the domination mode. If you're thinking about the Corite extractors, that's Cape Blanc Observatory.
Hey, Blanc. Yes, Crowd. Yeah, you are correct. Sorry, Shia. My fault completely. Yes, that is Crowd Sinkhole. Cape Blanc Observatory is the Corite extractors. That's my fault. I apologize.
I will
Yeah.
say, new map for the transport cargo mission. Absolutely love the
Payload.
theme of the map. The
Yeah.
theme of the map is so cool. Going down a whole entire side, cliff side, pretty much. I love the fact that we have more elevation of terrain. Like, I'm not saying that we don't have it currently, but it's mainly just buildings or hallways. This one's an actual slope down the whole entire side of the rocket.
Yeah. When I was like again while I was watching the stream on stream, I'm really enjoying the variety of map theme. It's really really cool, and like you're saying, more elevations, differences in terrain is part and parcel of being able to use a striker that has a jetpack or a booster or whatever. And ASG are just doing they're just doing stuff so right at the moment. Uh, it's just
Yeah, whoever their design
glaze,
team
glaze,
is,
glaze, glaze,
kudos to
glaze.
them.
Sorry,
Kudos to the
yes,
design team.
absolutely. Yeah.
But since we're still talking about strikers and mechs, do we want to get into like the nitty gritty buffs and debuffs?
Yeah, sure. Actually, before we do, I just want to do some mid-stream promoting. So, as you can see, oh, I actually forgot to put that as part of the commands. So, we have a few commands that are part of the title. So, of course, we have exclamation mark questions. If you would like to ask GP any questions, please do in the chat. Make sure you at me so that I can see them if there's a lot of chat going on, and then we'll ask them at the end, like Birdie has one now, because obviously I don't want to disrupt the flow too much. That's going in the notepad so that I know it's there. Secondly, we have exclamation mark mecha break, which is basically nope, that doesn't work. Thank you, Stream Elements. I'm so happy I use you. Uh,
That's my streamer.
okay. Oh, let me try this one. There we go. So I make Mecha Break content. I have two podcasts. It's this one and the the law podcast that I run with Az, which we're going to do another one soon because me and a few of the law people have something quite big cooking, but we're not going to talk about it yet. But it is law related. That's called World Break. I also upload shorts and stuff. There's a few of them from the beta. There will be just general gameplay on there when the game goes live. So, you know, if you're enjoying this and you want to support, please feel free to hit that follow button on Twitch or subscribe over on YouTube, which I think is in the About section. But if it isn't, it's here. I'll put it in the chat later. And then we have MB Discord. Which is basically all of the Discord links that are currently like the biggest ones right now. So first we have the Mecha Break official community Discord, which is the first link. EU/Mechabroken, which is run by Lyrics and Gunlay, is second link. NA/Mechascrim, run by Charlotte, third link. And then Mecha Box, which is run by Millennium and Puppet, which is the final link. And then final command is tournament. Because I'm EU, of course, I have an affinity for them. I'm part of the organizational team for the EU community Discord, is having their first tournament. It's going to be on the 19th at 6 p.m. CEST, which is, I think, UTC just +2, +1, +2. I can never remember. Time zones are horrible right now. But yeah, make sure you head to the challenge page to sign up. Donate to the Matcherino what you can. And make sure you join the Discord as well if you just want to hang out, or if you want to apply for the tournament, then you need to be in the Discord so that we can organize stuff. And if you win, you get the prizes. So, yeah, let us move on to kind of the big changes. Oh, and just very quickly, thank you for the follow, JCFE John. Thank you for the follow, Zin. And that's it. Beautiful.
Oh no,
Right.
John's here. Watch what you say.
Oh, wait, is it the John? Is that him?
Yeah, that is the John.
Hi, John. I haven't
That's
said
the
anything
John.
bad.
Uh-oh.
Thank you for all the work that
Father's
you
here.
do. Big Daddy is here. Let's move on quickly. Move on quickly, GP. Move on quickly.
But I'll let you take kind of I'll let you take over on talking about the changes with the different mechs that we've seen so far, and then we could kind of discuss from there if you want to go over them.
Sounds good. Sorry, I just forgot to put names down for the questions. Birdie_cloud. I know who the second one is because he won't leave me alone. Myth. I'm joking. He's a good friend. Thank you, Myth, for being so friendly to me. I love you too. So yeah, we start off basically. So, like I say, the format that this was given to me in was basically just a big list of stuff. So the first things first, everyone got a base mobility bump, base ground speed and air mobility, but no changes to boost speed, which I think is actually a good thing because boost speeds at the moment seem fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with them. I
I
mean,
don't think I've ever had a problem with boost speed. I mean, for the
yeah,
most part, if you spam the boost button, you know,
yeah,
you you get even with the tankier strikers, you could get where you need to pretty quickly.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, I don't think that's really a thing that needs to be talked about. Some strikers got lower energy cost on evades or faster evades. And of course, when we talk about strikers and their energy changes, we can talk about the two new strikers where it was made clear that while Serenith has better EN management or better EN economy than their ultra heavies, it doesn't have as good a EN economy as, say, the Flyers. They're trying to balance between the two. So yes, it's a light brawler and it has to be very quick between targets, but at the same time, they don't want to give it too much EN so that it can just infinitely dash away from melees and long range shots, which I think is a really cool way that they've balanced Stellaris. Let's go over from top to bottom the changes that are on this notepad. Very quickly, how do you say this first one?
Listeners.
Listeners. Okay, so I've heard three different ways of people saying it. One was the actual game, and it says Aliceness. Another one is Aliceness, which was, I think, from one of the. It was either one of the streams or somebody from ASG talking about it. That is true. Some people say Alice, which is quite funny. And then what was it? So, Aliceness. Yeah. So basically, people can say what they want, but it's a thing that's going to happen for a while. People are going to say different versions of the name, and it's totally fine. I just wanted to get your reception on it. So,
It's not fine. They're all wrong. If they don't agree with me, they're wrong.
yeah. Oh, actually,
But we
it
don't have-
doesn't say anything for Ali.
I mean, for Eliseness, the biggest things I
It's the
think
melee change,
that
right?
the melee change, but also being able to shoot while
Oh
you're dashing.
yes. While in Baby Ali
That is,
mode.
yeah.
That's true.
Baby Ellie got a buff.
I I don't really know why. I'll be honest. I think Ali was kind of fine at the moment, but
I
you know,
don't think it's a huge enough buff to where people are going to complain about it, but it's just like, oh, we could do that now.
yeah. No, I
That's
get
why
you.
I'm like, that's not bad.
I don't know. I think from that tier list discussion that I had with some of the Orca people, it's gonna be either a make or break change. I think. I know it seems very small, but the point of the Ali armor burst is that it was meant to be weak, and now it seems like it can be very offensive. And then, especially for the first armor burst, you can just re-up whenever you want. And I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of it, shall we say? But I think we will have to wait and see. Right. Next one. Aquila. Plus 3k HP, plus 1% blast defense, plus 4 ballistic defense, plus 5% energy defense, minus 4,000 fluid armor. What are we thinking of these changes?
I'm gonna be honest. Here's the thing. We pretty much got the same amount of HP back, but we lost armor. Now, in my opinion, at least, armor is like it's important because it can provide resistances to um, different types of attacks. But it kind of balances itself out, especially since we have the small amount percentage increase to blast defense, ballistic defense, and energy defense.
Yeah.
Most commonly, we're going to be seeing ballistic and energy is like the main two forms of damage. So it kind of works itself out to where I think Aquila actually kind of got a buff from it. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. No, I agree with that too. Oh,
I just don't know why.
just very quickly, thank you MDB for the raid.
MDB.
Literally, yeah, sure, I'll stream together. It's quite funny. Literally, no, for real. Literally, as the raid happened, I messaged him in the Discord saying, "Imagine not supporting proper content, MDB." Literally as the raid happened, which is amazing. I love timing like that. But yes, hello everybody from MDB's raid channel thingy. Thank you very much for watching, for coming through. My name, if you're not aware of who I am, my name is Danarai. I'm I guess a variety streamer moving into more focused stuff, especially Mecha Break. We do 2 podcasts. I'll just put the links up again because I'm a massive shill for myself. There we go. I do 2 podcasts, shorts, commentary, and gameplay. We're going to be hammering Mecha Break as soon as it comes out. It's at 5 a.m. my time. And yeah, easy peasy lemon squeezy. So once again, thank you very much. And I hope you will stay and follow and engage with us, me and the GP. Anyway, let's continue. So Aquila, yes, absolutely. It's a buff overall. I think the fluid armor thing is okay. That's fine. It's a nerf that he probably deserves. But everything else, I don't know why they buffed it. Maybe they wanted, well, it seems like they definitely wanted Aquila to be more tanky, but I feel that was one of the main issues with Aquila, was that it was way too tanky and it was able to duel pretty effectively. So not the greatest fan.
I don't know specifically the thought process behind it, but that was one of the main strikers I played during the beta, especially during Mashmac, was Aquila, because you had the ability which gave you, you can just go really quick over a pretty great distance. And especially during Mashback during the beta, it would be really easy to close in on someone, take someone out, and then have enough health to make it back out. So I don't know the thought process, but I think if anything, Aquila probably could be nerfed a little bit more and still be good.
Yeah, I'm 100% on board with that. It's a bit of a pain. Although now, because I'm thinking of this from a Falcon perspective, it was quite annoying to try and duel an Aquila, and if they were just better than me, they were able to kill me, even though it is, I would say, technically Falcon favored. Being a sniper and being that tanky, it feels wrong deep inside, you know what I mean? But who knows? Maybe this buff is to allow Stellaris to be the flyer killer, especially Aquila, because its melees are gonna go straight through that fluid armor, and it has less of it now. So if you team up with another striker on your team, maybe it's more effective. So it could potentially be a static buff, but an overall general nerf. Who knows? We're gonna have to see. Game comes out so soon. We could all test very, very soon.
We got like 36 hours.
It's true. It's true. I'm just going to show it one more time. If you are unaware, here are the release times for your regions. It's 5 a.m. BST for me. I get back from work at 11:30 p.m. So I will be sleeping as much as possible and then ordering about 15 coffees to keep me awake for as long as possible. Yeah, you can see where it launches simultaneously for your time zone. Please do jump on, because the game's going to be awesome. and I have no doubt of that. I can guarantee it. Right. Next striker, Hurricane.
Falcon.
Very
Whoa,
simple
whoa,
one.
whoa, you're skipping over Falcon. How are you gonna skip over
Sorry, no,
Falcon?
sorry. It was squished. I should really format this better. But yeah, sorry. Falcon is next. I apologize. My current favorite, current main, is Falcon, which will change to Stellaris, which is no surprise. So yeah, air energy regen minus 500. Now, the first thing I want to talk about regarding this is the accessibility to the wording of each stat, because it has been notoriously horrible for anybody not part of like a proper team to understand what a lot of them mean. What does air energy regen minus 500 mean? Does it mean once you're not in flight mode anymore and you're just moving, that's how much energy that you're able to regen per second or whatever?
I think the air energy regen is not in flight mode, but
Mm.
if you're just boosting normally and like you're in the air. Like if
So
you're holding space and just kind of gliding around.
right. So is minus 500 the it's definitely going to be the amount that you get back per whatever, but will it be the energy that you regenerate while not using any energy, or will it be specifically after boosting?
I have no clue.
Yeah. See? Which is why I think they were
I just
very
see a
clear.
big number and I'm just like, oh, that sucks for Falcon players. Good thing I don't play Falcon.
I mean, this is the thing. The Falcon had such incredible energy economy before. I don't think it's too bad. We do need patch notes. I'm sure they will release when the game goes up. Hopefully, anyway.
I am happy that they have more altercations of their dodges, such as the
Alterations.
loop, and you can now increase and decrease the speed of the loop. That
Hmm.
is one thing I saw that is nice.
Yeah.
Because after a while, I did see some players kind of get used to seeing a Falcon or a Skyraider do one of these moves and learn the patterns over time, and it
Yeah.
kind of became useless. So now you can
Hmm.
kind of mix it up by going slower and then fast and throwing them off guard a little bit.
Sorry. Yes, that is true. So the loops and the kind of slow descent, I think variation is good, but it is, again, it remains to be seen how viable the different variants are going to be. I don't think there's going to be that much of a difference in the two, and one of them is just going to be purely better. But that's a hot take, I guess. More variation is generally always good, so I'm not too bothered about it. Although improvement to the Orcs 3 tracking and damage is something that I really love, because Falcon didn't need it at all. It's just, if you were
Those are
smart enough in
the
your Falcon play,
missiles.
you didn't. Yeah, it's the like the big missiles that you can fire, and you basically just dump all of your damage into it, and then 3
Yeah.
is like your big boost ones. Yeah, I don't think Falcon needed it. I think its tracking and damage was fine, especially when you were, teaming up with another striker to take something down. I think it was completely fine. But Falcons will take any buff they can get, especially when Orca puts him at bloody C tier or B tier, which is still confusing to me. I don't get it. I think he's great, but
I mean, in
yeah,
my worldview, Falcon's an F, but
Falcons and F. Wait, why do you say Falcons and F?
because I suck with flyers, that's why.
Oh, okay. Do you suck with flyers and you get killed by them a lot, or is it just the former?
Just the former. Yeah. I don't get killed by them a lot, but I'll definitely, as Illuminate, chase your ass down and put damage bots on you.
Fair. I don't blame you, to be honest. Right, next one. Now it's Hurricane. The only
Yeah.
only change that we know about is the plus 6k HP. Now I would like some
I'm happy.
other people to chip in on this one, because is this enough for Hurricane to be regarded as part of a must pick at the moment, or a
Yes,
meta pick? You think so?
yes,
Tell
very
me
much
why.
so.
Okay.
It just the biggest issue with Hurricane is not having the survivability, in my opinion. Hurricane obviously has the tracking shields that allow fire to be
Mm,
taken away from the Hurricane or your teammates, and actually have capability to be able to sustain and have more life. But let's
hmm
say those shields go down, you can be the tank. Even with the bubble, the whole character of Hurricane is meant to be a support tank, and now it's just going to fulfill that role more.
Sure.
And even with the lasers, I still love the lasers on Inferno and Hurricane because they are excellent at getting rid of shields. So I
hmm
would see, personally, at least for me, I see Hurricane as a support tank player, and he's like my number two probably pick, at least in terms of who I want to play.
Yeah. I think that's true. Just generally for Hurricane, that he was the kind of off tank, if you will. You know, if Tricera was the main tank in an MMO dungeon fight or a raid, then Hurricane is the off tank. It has the ability to deal more damage on a consistent level, but if need be, it can take over tanking duties if the Tricera ends up dying. So I think that's pretty apt. And then Inferno, it looks like got a lot of stuff. And now I'm scared. I'm actually scared of Inferno now. I think when
He got nerfed.
yeah,
Inferno got nerfed. He's in the ground. He's buried. Put him in the cemetery.
sure, but I mean it's good for everyone else. That's what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, it's perfect.
Mhm.
Plus 3k HP. Whatever. Fine with more HP.
Yep.
Air EN regen. That's down. Don't know what that means yet still. Minus 10,000 fluid armor.
Yeah.
He is gonna be just brittle. Minus 100 fluid armor regen. Um, so it's gonna take longer to get your armor refreshed. And then the cooldown is reduced. Um, which is good. I think kind of what they're at least aiming for with the Ox 3 cooldown is you're gonna have to. I- One thing I noticed with Inferno before is you could kind of stay up in the air and kind of float around the map a lot more.
Mm.
This makes it seem like they're trying to make it so you're not going to be floating around as much, and then you're going to be having to use your Ox 3 to get yourself out of sticky situations more. I think that's kind of what they're trying to go for is Inferno is going to go and roam around for less amount of time rather than being a constant nuisance
Mm.
and kind of have to back up and kind of like a further laser version of Stellaris. Kind of pick your choose your fights a little bit more wiser.
Yeah, I agree. So Orcs 3 basically the Trans Am thing, where it leaves after images?
Right.
Yeah. So it's this is the thing. I don't think it's going to be that bad for Inferno. Honestly, it's uh, it's not meant to be tanky. It's meant to output damage. So Inferno means you can stop whining. All right, your striker is fine.
MBB got called out.
Your striker is absolutely fine. You have more offensive capability now. And yeah, just stop whining. Buff Stellaris. Moving
Yeah,
on
just buff
to
Stellaris. Plus
exactly
2,000 damage.
plus 2k for every sword swipe. So it at the end it's like 12k damage or something. Um, so Narukami and Panther aren't listed of anything here, but we know the
No.
Narukami thing, which is the stun on the grapple now. How
Yep.
impactful do you think that's going to be?
For people who don't know how to aim, not very. Just keeping it real. Just keeping it real.
Hmm.
I'm sure there are going to be case uses where people are going to get really good at using the grapple, but at the end of the day, if you're not paying attention and a Stellaris knows where you're at and sneaks up on you, it probably won't matter too much. It's
Yeah.
just for those situations, especially on Sky City, when your team's starting to get overrun and maybe you have someone a little bit beefy next to you that's a bit slower, you're going to be able to get out of there.
Hmm. What do you think the potential for grappling over someone and then being able to deal a pretty decent amount of damage before getting out of that situation? So a Naru gets closed in on by a Falcon. It does the grapple hop. It stuns the Falcon, potentially grounds it, gets maybe 2 to 3 like no scoped shots or one charge shot. What is the kind of best outcome for a Naru in that situation? Do you think?
Honestly, if that was me and how I was playing, I would always just use the grapple as an escape. I
Okay.
wouldn't in any way use it as like an offensive. You could use it as an offensive if someone is low enough. Like if you see an opportunity where a Falcon's running by and you grapple him out of the air and stun him and then just finish him off that way, that'd be good. But if there is someone that's near you, most of the time it's going to be at least a team or it's going to be a flyer on their own. I just, especially with Naru's lower armor and being very brittle, I
Mhm.
wouldn't want to take a risk of exposing the position too much.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm on board with you there. Panther. I
Lumine, you skipped over.
Yeah, we'll go back to Lumine in a second. Uh,
Why
pa-
Lumine? The
get
one character I played, you skip over.
because I don't want your take on Lumine until after because it's the one that you play.
Oh, unfortunate.
So Panther, what for the life of me, I genuinely cannot remember anything that they did to Panther outside of the general melee change. Like, please, somebody in chat, let me know what they actually did for or to Panther, but or GP if you can remember, because I can't.
Gonna be honest, I don't recall anything.
Yeah, I don't think they did much to him. I think it's
I
one of
think
those.
the only
No, you go.
thing that they changed maybe wasn't their yeah, Myth said something about charge canceling, but also, if I'm not mistaken, just like Elizni's, you can charge up and do like an attack, and you could switch off of your lance to a shield when
Mm,
you're moving in with the charge.
yeah, I think yes, that sounds about right.
But I could be wrong.
Hmm. I mean, it's so hard to balance a striker like Panther, and it will be hard to balance a striker like Stellaris as well, because you will always have the argument of every other striker has a ranged option that's very high damage and is meant to keep melees away from you. So when a melee gets in, it should do a hell of a lot of damage and also kind of be guaranteed. But how do you balance that? Do you give Stellaris more armor to duel more effectively, but then you make it more like Panther and you don't want that? Do you increase the stealth capability of Stellaris? You could, but then it becomes much harder to kill and it's supposed to be fragile. And I know I'm talking a lot about Stellaris. I'm so excited. But yeah, in terms of balancing melees in a predominantly ranged game, it's incredibly hard to do. So yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know what you could
I
do to
think that was
Panther.
the
So yeah,
I think that was the only change that they mentioned or was like seen.
yeah, yeah, probably. I mean, when the VOD goes up on YouTube, people will correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm happy for that. So, Pinaka. What are the changes for Pinaka GP?
Ground energy regen plus 300, whatever 300 is. Aaron regen plus 160, whatever 160 is. And then the biggest change, which I think everybody is happy about, you can actually use the primary healing ability on Panaka.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm happy about everything with Panaka. I think the walls are in a good spot. More energy allows you to get to your teammates quicker to heal them, and the healing tether allows you to at least heal over a little small distance,
Hmm.
but you don't have to be directly on anybody.
Yeah,
Good
I think
changes.
it's very
Simple.
good change. Simple but effective, which is pretty much how you want your devs to balance stuff. Nothing too overly complicated. Off Tekken 8 off. Sky Raider, 2000 EN capacity, ground energy regen plus 16 up to 9800. Up loop, down loop now have variants. It was the case, though, if I remember correctly, that Sky Raider didn't get the loops from the last beta. Is that correct? Or am I just going insane?
Gonna have to reference chat on this one because I don't play flyers.
Because, yeah, I think this was a point of contention about the things for Falcon. That Falcon got the spiral descent and then the loop de loops, but Sky Raider didn't. Honestly, it feels like centuries ago right now since we were able to play this game. That I can't remember. But now Sky Raider basically has exactly the same thing as Falcon does. Aux 1 CD increased to 7 seconds, 15 seconds up from 8. What do you think? How are we feeling?
I mean, it's good for the flyer. I think Skyrider is going to be used more often because people were mainly focusing on Falcon over Skyraider. And I think the nerfs to Falcon buffs to Skyraider at least evens them out a bit more.
Mm.
Past that, I don't have much to say because I didn't play him much.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where because he was nerfed pretty hard, the community just generally turned off Sky Raider, and there wasn't much information that you could get unless you had like those dedicated lab monsters that were finding out all these different things from custom rooms. Tricera doesn't have anything on this document, but I do remember something. But I personally can't remember specifically what. Do you remember, GP?
I think there was a reference of something of him regarding melee, like when he was being meleeed.
Mm,
I remember there being
okay.
some sort of mention of it, but I can't remember specifically.
Mm. I mean, Tricera just needs to be nerfed into the ground anyway, so we don't really need to talk about it
He's
anymore.
my third favorite. How dare
Welkin,
you?
plus 2000 HP, plus 4000 fluid armor, Aux 1 CD nerf, Aux 1 CD increase plus 5 seconds, 20 up from 15. Minimum cancel cooldown increase to 5 from 3. Which is one of the major things which I think people were annoyed at from Welkin in the beta, that it just came back instantly if you broke it instantly. And yeah, that was annoying. Aux 3 shield widened and cancel CD reduced. Now, Welkin has pretty much unanimously been called the best striker in the game. What do you think about Welkin?
I think the only reason that he was as good as he was because of the box. And now that the box has gotten nerfed, he's more in line with the other melee mechs.
Okay.
Can't really just spam boxes anymore. I think the shield widen is good.
Mm.
Because at least in my viewpoint, instead of going in there being a solo player with a box, you now will probably have to coordinate a little bit more for him to be more effective.
Potentially. I think there was also the change with his frontal shield, right? Where it actually fully blocks damage now from melee attacks or anything from frontal, so he can't be interrupted. Which is very, very powerful. In addition to having, even though the box has been nerfed, it's still pretty good. Yeah, I mean, I don't think this takes him down too much at the moment. Welkin's still going to have incredible utility with that spin. The EN nerf that they did for spin didn't really change much. It still has pretty good chase ability. It has the buff to the shield now. It does still have the box. Its health pool is higher now. I just think, yeah, it's still going to be a problem. I missed Stego, didn't I?
You did.
I did. So Stego, we know about the massive HP nerf because nobody from the Stego community likes that, but I don't care. Minus 12,000 HP, plus 3k EN capacity and plus 70 fluid armor regen per second. I think this is totally reasonable.
It
I don't
is.
think there's anything wrong with this.
Yeah, I'm fine with everything. More energy capacity gives them a little bit more movement, being able to actually get out of sticky situations a little bit easier, and then obviously the increase in the fluid armor regen. Um, I I genuinely think that the fluid armor regen is kind of nice,
Hmm.
especially with the capacity increase. So
Yeah.
definitely a nerf, but he could get out of sticky situations a little bit easier, so I'm happy with it.
Yeah, I'm completely fine with it too. I don't think he ever needed a damage nerf, so it's good that they haven't done that. But people will complain about anything. He's meant to do a lot of damage. The whole point of Stego and Tricera players is that they're okay having a lukewarm IQ because all they need to do is sit there and press buttons. And then maybe you have to reposition a little bit, but you sit there and press buttons. I think everybody kind of agrees with this.
Yep.
But yeah, it seems like Tricera and Stego are fine if continuously very, very good strikers. And then
Yep.
finally, take us to the Lumine part, Mr. GP.
Yep. Air EN regen minus 480, whatever minus 480 means once again. They did increase as well the Ox 2 cooldown, which is the one where it gives energy regen.
That's the
Um,
wings, right?
yep, that's the
Yeah.
wings. Now, obviously a nerf to Lumine and movement, I think it's honestly a good change because it would incentivize Panaka usage more.
Mhm.
But at the same time, I still am gonna see Lumine as a very strong pick in terms of healing, but also being able to chase down any flying mechs that are on very low HP and putting damage bots on them. I
Mhm.
think that's the main reason that they got put in those energy nerfs is because of that. There was some points during the beta in which I would outrun a falcon that was in flight mode trying to full sprint away from me because I would just hit Ox 2 and just spam the dash button and have unlimited energy. So I think it's definitely a needed nerf, but Luminae's still going to be good.
Mhm. Would it? Would there be anything from these changes that would make you switch to Panaka, or are you just like you love Lumi so much and the changes don't do much for you?
I'm a one trick pony on Luminae, so I'm not following my own advice.
Fair enough. Like I
One
say,
trick
being
ponies apply for support. You could be a one trick pony on a support player.
true, 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 true. I mean, look, like I said, being a one trick is fine, but you should at some point expand your roster. And if you don't, and you get on fine with being an OTP, then again, fine. I'm not going to judge you too harshly. So I just want to. So over on the YouTube stream, we have somebody talking about. So I guess I really need to practice playing Welkin a lot. I'm so scared of those Panther guys. They just love surprising people. That is the one instance in which Welkin loses straight up. That's like a 9-1 matchup in favor of Panther. It doesn't mean that Welkin isn't the best striker in the game, but because of the toolkits between the two, Panther dominates Welkin and doesn't do that well against pretty much everyone else. Again, might do pretty well against Stellaris in just a straight duel, but if you're a decently competent Stellaris, you will know not to duel pretty much anyone unless they're on very low health and you can burst them down. And that's the again Panther Welkin matchup in a nutshell. I think I have a clip of it on this channel somewhere where I clipped that part of the conversation between me and some of the Orca members. So we got everything on this channel. And now something that's actually super interesting that we were slightly talking about earlier, the environmental affinities. Give us your probably not hot take about these affinities.
Long story short, completely opposite of what I just said is it's good for the game, good for variety, good for the comp scene, and I think it creates an interesting dynamic because at least for me in the comp side that I come from,
Hmm.
um, I spent 2 years playing competitive Rainbow Six Siege, and in
Nice.
my time of being on my team, I had to learn every single role and how to pretty much play every single operator because we
Hmm.
never found a constant fourth.
Right.
And if you're able to develop the skills of a role, let's say you're really good at Falcon and you play on a water map and you have to start playing other strikers to be better used on that map, it allows you to then develop skills for other strikers. But what
Mm.
you will eventually realize is certain skills from Falcon are then transferable to other strikers as well. So,
Okay.
at least for me, when I was playing Lumine mainly, and I switched to Aquila, um, a lot of Lumine's movement I actually used on Aquila, and a lot of my ways that as a Lumine, let's say I was in a really crappy spot and being attacked,
Mm.
I then would transfer that to Aquila, and it would allow me to get out of certain situations better. So, I think overall the affinities, um, at least for the map designs and being able to move quicker, it's going to be better overall, even though some people are probably not going to like it. I think it's overall for the competitive integrity of the game that it's in there.
Okay. Because I was kind of very anti this mechanic in the beginning because I didn't want anything to affect the competitive integrity of the game, especially when it was being pushed so hard as an esport from before the game even launched. But the way that they've implemented the two so far, it gives me hope. I think that picking a comp around specific maps that have these affinities is going to be vitally important. And I think if they don't overdo it with future maps, it's totally fine. I do wonder if they're going to add affinities to existing maps, but I kind. This is the thing. I don't. Do I want that? I I'm flip floppy about this issue. What would you say, GP, about that?
If they are going to completely overhaul and like completely rework the map, then yes. But if they're just going to take the map as is and then add affinity to it, I wouldn't like that.
That's completely understandable. I'm going to remain undecided on this for a long time, I think. But with the
Once
new
we see the
maps,
game, I
yeah,
think once we get hands on, we'll then get our opinions then.
yeah, I think yeah, we just need to get our hands in the game. So you know what, ASG, just release it now.
At least,
All right,
yeah,
yeah, just
24 hours early.
yeah,
Give it to
exactly.
us.
You're definitely not fully ready yet, but just release it for the cool people like me and GP. Don't give it to
Not
MDB.
MVP.
Doesn't. Amazing. I
I
love it.
will say one thing I totally forgot about,
Mhm.
that I did want to bring up is with Sereneth, the radar ability working in EIC storms and the
Yes.
sandstorms, and then
Outcome
you could pretty
radar.
much see all of the enemy team with that and have your whole team, you know, be able to shoot at enemies in EIC with lock gun.
Just
Kind of
fire in
broken.
that general direction. Yeah. It's true. I don't like it makes sense because it's an ability that just scans the area that isn't related to FCS targeting, but it's a bit strong. Like if one team doesn't bring a Falcon, especially to that new water map, because they don't want to risk it. If there's anything else that happens on that map, like a storm or something, then it's a bit rough. But
Yep.
again, Eye of Mizra, I hate when that storm comes in on Eye of Mizra. I'm gonna hate it when it comes in on any other map that stops my FCS targeting.
Well, isn't on King Block as well? If you don't dismantle the chloride extractor quick enough, it causes a EIC storm.
Mm,
Am I
yeah.
wrong about that?
I mean, I still hate it. it's it's not gonna. Yeah, it's just one of those things that really annoys me. Everything else so far has been fine. It's just that storm as soon as it comes in, oh, it just knife in the heart, especially if you're on the winning side and you're about to potentially get, say, another key, but somebody else is potentially sitting on the point. You can't see them if you're like too far away. You can't lock onto them, and you just lose that point. Sometimes it gets a little bit frustrating, but I'm not going to dwell on it too much. My overall takeaway is that the affinity stuff is good. It's a good change, even for 6v6 Verge. So.
Yeah. Another big change. Some may see it as a big change. Others may not. No mods in 6v6 or 3v3.
Yes,
Pretty
thank
simple.
whoever listened. Thank you. Nobody wanted them in Ace and Verge.
I mean,
To be
it
honest,
didn't bother me. It didn't bother me, honestly.
I think the main issue was that there was a lot of variation, and there were some mod combinations that were just straight up buffs. And at the end of the day, if you could go into Mashmac, earn the best mods, it would be just meta mods anyway, without any real variety. But in Mashmac, it makes way more sense because it's a completely different environment. You have to play strikers relatively differently too. For the competitive integrity, I think keeping strikers at their base level is completely fine and acceptable. I will say that the people who were very upset at the possibility of mods being taken out of Virgin Ace, I understand. I just think that because 6v6 will be the competitive standard, it's fine to get them out and leave them for Mashmac, where you get, for extraction shooters, and Hunt is the one that I go to for this example, is you are supposed to earn traits, and you can earn them by winning games, and you get trait points or hunt points, whatever it's called, and then you can buy certain things to improve your game. But they aren't necessarily all broken. Some of them are really, really good, but they're not all broken. With Mashmac, you have to grind for them, especially in the higher difficulties, which means if you go into the extreme difficulty or whatever it's called, you're not even guaranteed to get out with these mods. Like, you'll be playing against people with incredibly high level weapons, incredibly high level mods anyway. So yeah, I think it's completely fine.
But leading into Mashmac, all the Mashmac changes.
Let's go. I like them.
Biggest ones, obviously, 3-tiered system. If you're gonna go in with just your striker, no sort of airdrop, reinforcements, no sort of mods, you play in the beginner level. If you equip, some airdrops and no mods at all, you give yourself a little bit of a buff. You'll be in the medium group, and if you run both mods and airdrops, you'll be in the high group.
Yeah.
Easiest way to explain it, and it makes sense. During the beta, if you grind a Mashmac and you got the autocannons to level 5 before anyone else, and you went up against people with autocannon level 1s, you pretty much insta-melted them. So I understand the reason for it. Makes sense to me. Depending on how difficult it is, in terms of the difficulty you choose, it will reduce the amount of extracts. Personally, I like this idea of having a higher risk, higher reward. My hope is when we get hands-on, we'll be able to see the exact amount of points you could get for it, because if you run the higher tiers, and it allows you to get more score, which in turn would get you more points for the shop, I think that would be a good incentive to play the higher tiers compared to the lower ones.
Yeah, definitely. But as a person who plays extraction shooters a fair bit, the incentive to play them and do well is the sense of achievement. Because, in, again, say, Hunt, the objective is the exact same over and over and over again. And you don't even earn weapons in game. In matches, you earn them by leveling up your character so that you unlock them, and then you use a weapon enough to unlock its next variant. So it's it's just about the specific gameplay loop of Mashmak that entices a lot of people because it's nothing like any like any other genre of game, and it's the ability to completely ruin other people's experiences, which is a very thrilling experience. And it's part of the reason
Yeah.
why I like playing extraction shooters because high risk, high reward, but it's also fun to cap somebody in the back of the head when they're about to extract, take their stuff, and then you leave.
I mean, admittedly, for me, as someone who played Escape from Tarkov as their main extraction shooter,
Mm,
I put around 3,500 hours into it.
that's a lot.
Um, yeah, it was not a great time in my life, let me tell you what.
Oh no.
But no, in terms of extraction shooters, I think the higher risk, higher reward is something I'm gonna be happy with. One thing that is coming back from the beta is the golden supply crates that we're dropping in Mashmac.
UMBs with
And
Falcon vouchers, baby. Let's go.
yep, yep, that's what they were. The unique boxes, that's what they were called.
Ultimate
But
maintenance boxes. Yeah.
ultimate maintenance boxes. Yep. Yes, that Falcon voucher coming back. Um, but I think if the incentive of going to a higher difficulty is you get more of the mayor points or mission points, and then on top of that you get more ultimate maintenance boxes, I could see people going more towards the higher difficulty than the lower one.
Yeah. That's
And then
I didn't even think about the UMBs in that sense, to be honest. But yeah, you make a good point.
and then on top of that, when you do die, you start from the beginner and then make your way back up to it. So it kind of has a natural progression system. Um, People are going to be going for those ultimate maintenance boxes because they want the Falcon voucher. Everybody wants the Falcon model. And then in there, inside of the box, it has the Scorching Fire for Welkin, Panaka, and I think the aerial assault form is. Whose aerial assault form? Is that Falcon?
Falcon. Yeah.
Yep. And
Mm.
then obviously the seasonal patterns. So definitely a reason to grind Mashmech if you want those cosmetics.
Yeah, absolutely. It's that's basically all it is. And I've if people, are in the main Discord, then my thoughts on this very well. If you don't like Mashmac, don't play it. Don't force yourself to do it because you want skins and stuff, but don't complain about it at the same time. It's such a different genre of game that they're including for a hero shooter that I think
Yep.
you need to have an open mind about the mode itself. If you don't like the progression system, if you don't like the risk reward of it, but you want the patterns, I say just don't play it. Keep yourself happier rather
Agreed.
than forcing yourself to do it and then complaining in the main Discord and then getting the GP to time you out because you use a slur or whatever the hell.
Yeah, don't be using those naughty words now.
Those gamer words gotta stay out. Right. What next?
Otherwise, I think the only other Mashmac change is obviously some the new boss. I forgot exactly what the new
Hellcat.
boss was called.
Yes.
Yes.
So cool.
Lasers.
La- lasers.
More lasers.
All
Just
of the lasers.
put more lasers on screen. They'll like it. I promise. That's the
So-
design team. More lasers.
That's the notes that Chris shared with the design team from the player base. Just, yep, design's cool. The arena's cool. Everything else is cool, but what could we improve? Lasers. Absolutely. So I think there's a few things that people aren't quite sure about. So obviously you might not be or probably won't be able to tell us because obviously you're not in the dev room with them. But first of all, how do you get to Hellcat? Is it part of these kind of passes that you seem to be able to earn in the higher difficulty Mashmax? And when you get into the Hellcat fight, is it an instance that only your squad can partake in? And if you die, does it reset? Somebody else can go in, or is it gone forever? If it isn't in an instance, Do other players get a chance to interrupt you as soon as it spawns, or is there a time limit where there's some kind of bubble around you and the Hellcat that then, after a certain period of time, if you're unable to phase change it or even kill it, it allows everybody else to jump in? Yeah, there's a lot of questions surrounding Hellcat, and even if we don't get information about it at all before the game actually drops, I am going to be so excited to try it out and see how difficult Hellcat actually will be.
Agreed. If I had to make any assumptions, um, at least based off of Constantine and is it Makalu, the other boss?
Yeah, Makalu. I don't.
One of those. Is it Lisnes or
Yeah. Alice Ness. Yeah.
it's Makalu or Makulu? But
Makalu.
at least from how it was functioning with them, is it's in the open world and it's not in a specific instance. And
Mhm.
how it worked is if you de-aggroed from the boss for a certain amount of time and there was no sort of damage done to it, it actually would regenerate all of its HP.
Oh, it's just like a mob in an MMO. It resets
Right,
aggro,
right,
but full health. Wow,
right.
that's
Because
kind
I
of nuts.
remember with Makalu one time, at least when we were fighting it, we had like two squads roll in. So we started fighting them and we came back and he was at half health when we left him and he was back to full. We're
That's
like, damn.
brutal.
That sucks. Yeah. So probably same thing would apply in this situation. Um,
Hmm.
the one thing I am curious about is if there's going to be multiple instances of the new boss spawning in, because at least on the current Mashmac map, um, when Constantine or Makalu spawn in, it can spawn in multiple times in a single match.
Hmm. That's true.
So hopefully you can have multiple instances of being able to fight them.
Think my ideal system for Hellcat would be, so the mobs are just the mobs. You can kill them, get low tier loot. Sometimes you might get lucky, get a purple. Um, and then next up are the elites like Shikra and stuff like that. The variety of them is pretty cool, pretty nice. You can get slightly better rewards from them, and then you have the bosses. And I think it's fine to have multiple of those. Like even if it's 4 Constantines, they drop the same variety of loot as Makalu does. So I'm not really bothered. But I think if you're gonna have a big bad of your extraction shooter in terms of a boss, then it should be somebody unlocks it. It's completely open to anybody once it spawns, and all it is every team, if they want, can go and fight each other for the rights to kill the boss, or you can work
Yep.
together to kill the boss together and share some loot. But because of the
Yeah.
direction that they've been going with Mashmac, instead of it being the casual mode that Chris says he wanted it to be, it's very much like he then said on the 23rd stream, it's now more of your traditional extraction shooter. So,
Yep.
yeah, I want it to be as punishing as possible if you get, I don't know, second or third partied by a team waiting for you to get hit by a massive Hellcat attack and then they just kill you, and then
Yeah.
your team either have to commit to the fight or run away and heal you, or not heal you, get you back with the respawn beacon. The choices are there, but I prefer it being way more punishing. But that's just me.
Oh yeah. And there was definitely multiple times, at least in the playtest, where we saw a boss spawn on the map and we as a squad would roll up over there and there'd be 25% health left on the boss and we would just kill the whole team and then finish the boss off. Or we would roll in, kill the boss ourselves, and then fight them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that
Because
happens.
kill sniping the boss does happen, and you do get the mission points from it, and deny the other squad from getting the score for it for
That's
the
true.
boss kill.
Oh, that also reminds me. Now loot is actually going to be client side, right? As in, it's not going to be shared. So you get your own loot for killing elites and bosses now.
Yeah, wouldn't
Yeah,
be surprised.
which is really nice. Which means I don't have to fight Myth ultimate maintenance boxes anymore, because it would literally be me, him, and like another friend would
Yeah,
kill a Makalu or would kill a Constantine, and then the first person to like boost towards the dead body and find the UMB, just puts it in their inventory.
Yeah.
But now they don't do
I'm
that, which is nice.
still on average around score, at least during the open beta. I think the most amount of boss kills I got in a match was either 4 or 5 in a single
Every
match back.
boss. That would be
Uh,
like every boss that spawns in a round of MMK.
yeah.
Damn. Subtle
Well, it came out
flex.
to around 4,000 score. So decent amount. Decent amount.
That is true. I
But
was also a Falcon while you were like a Trike or a Stego, but you don't blame me. I just picked the best striker for Ninja and Gear.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's your fault.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else that you would like to go over regarding Marshmark?
Not Mash Mac. We're good there.
Yeah.
Is it Mash Mac or Mash Mock?
That's the thing. It's technically Marshmark, but
Is it though?
it is when you hear, the interpreter say, or even when Chris says it when he's talking, he says Marshmark, but people say Mashmac, and is it Eliseness or Aliceness? Is it
Is
Makalu
it
or
Mock?
Makalu? It's gonna be a thing forever.
Yep.
What did you want to talk about next?
I do want to at least give a shout out to the creator program.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Uh, I don't have a link or anything for it, but content creator program is live. They mention it at the end of the
Great.
season 0 stream. I genuinely think for anyone who wishes to become more involved in the content creator side of Mecha Break to put their application in.
Mm-hmm.
Just because of the fact that it allows you to connect directly to um, CSUN about it, and kind of gives you options in terms of
Mm-hmm.
it's like if you have a unique talent or something that you actually want to provide, it could possibly help get your name out there and also connect you to other content creators that you might find a liking to on the platform.
Yeah.
So
Pretty true.
definitely put that through.
Yeah. I will say, the support for the creators in the program has been relatively limited in that they kind of let us make the content that we want, so there aren't too many rules. But when official things happen, like the AMA, like the June 23rd stream, there were certain rules that you had to abide by, which are completely fine. I'm 100% on board with that. And then they give you media kits, which is really, really nice. So I have many gigabytes of media kits from the first time I joined the creator program, and the media kits get updated all the time. There's videos, there's PNGs, there's trailers, there's all sorts of stuff that you will be given as a creator to, get a bit of a leg up on those who aren't part of the program. And I've been talking to people in there. We're going to collaborate on a few things once the game drops, but yeah, I will just as a quote unquote warning. There's a lot of VTubers in there, like a lot of VTubers in there. So I say warning quotation marks. Yeah, if you want to join a creator program that has quite a lot of freedom in what you can make about it, even negative stuff, then go for it. It's a cool program to be a part of. I'm trying to find the link. Keep talking to them, GP, so I can find the link.
Backpacking off of it. Twitch drops. When the game comes out, Twitch drops.
Hell yeah.
You got some just cosmetic accessories. But the biggest one people are gonna want is the cybernetic tail waist accessory. So you could become your own robot cat girl that you've always dreamed of being. So Twitch drops July 1st through the 30th. I know if I have the opportunity to have them on, I will. So I'm sure
Well,
Dan
yeah.
will be doing the same thing.
Well, it's going to be for every streamer with Mashmack in the title. You just sign up for drops,
Yeah.
and yeah, you get given them, which is really nice. I know there are some creators that are like, if you have a creator program, then you should give them special treatment when it comes to stuff like Twitch drops, and I can understand that to a degree, but
Right.
there are massive streamers who aren't part of the creator collab because they don't need to be. They'll get sponsored by ASG in certain instances, and even if they are in the Discord, there isn't much they need to do to promote their own stuff. Like, they're not going to need to collab with someone like me. They're going to have thousands of viewers who are going to be able to get the Twitch drops as well. So I mean, it's completely fine. I don't mind it too much. I think for the longevity, it'd be nice to have something for the people in the creator collab system, but I'm not holding my breath. It's not something that I'm going to demand, because I think that the creator collab program is to expand the reach of the game, and it's kind of hard to quantify that unless you are a big time streamer who has like a code or something. So unless you want to
Right.
pull up your numbers for every Mecha Break stream you've ever done, and then if you reach a threshold, they give you something. I'm not that bothered.
Right.
Yeah.
Past that, we do have the event if you play with a squad of 3 and a squad of 6, that you're all in a squad together. Through the Vanguard Squads Assemble event, you get a unique unicorn type patch.
Yep.
Thingy.
And
Past that,
that
go ahead.
is no, it's just that it has caveats to it. So if you have one of those, you can create one squad and then join one squad. After that, you can't do any more. So you have to choose wisely. Somehow mine got a bit bugged, and I've emailed support, so I'm waiting for them to tell me I can actually manage the team that somehow has formed, so I can kick some of them and get actual people who I know on it. Look, don't ask me, I don't know how. But yeah, you need 6 squad members to actually join you, and then you need 4 of those 6 to create a character and join you in a squad, and then you will get the highest level of reward, the highest insignia.
Yep.
Do you have to play with that squad to far? So you don't get any extra reward yet for it, but they do say more rewards will come later. So yeah, initially all you need to have is 4 of the 6 be in your party after creating a character, and then I guess play a game or a few games, and then you'll get the highest tier of that reward. Any other information, neither I or GP know about, because it's a completely, to be honest, it's a WeChat thing, and WeChat is not a thing in the West as far as I'm aware. But we will get access to the insignia if you're able to fill it. So yeah.
Yep. Otherwise, I don't really think we have much. I know we skimmed over the hangar stuff, but I don't know how much into the hangar stuff we're into in terms of, working out in the gym and stuff like that. Personally, for me, I don't care that much, but
I have a big issue with people's view of the hangar, and only because I'm a big supporter of a system that doesn't just cater to the PvP. And this is a wider argument and conversation about PvE content, which I'm not going to get into, but the hangar specifically, people don't understand the degree to which budgets are allocated for certain divisions within a video game company. They say stuff like, well, if they didn't make that, they'd be able to make more things for the PvP aspect of the game, or even a PvE section, like exclusive PvE. It's a base understanding of, I guess, any industry environment that giving a budget to one department does not mean that that budget has been taken from another department. It just means that one department has fulfilled what they wanted with the budget they have, and another department is working on the other things which are able to achieve what they need to with that budget. So it's very disingenuous to say, well, they could have, spent more time on balancing, or they could have given us more maps or whatever. we don't need any more maps than we're getting from release. We already have enough, and they will release more. They release more strikers every season. They're going to release more maps, more rewards, more paints, insignias, patterns, and there'll be collaborations and stuff. So yeah, just a mini rant that people have no idea what they're talking about. I don't know the inner workings of ASG. I don't even know the inner workings of any development company, but I know how budgets can be allocated, and people don't understand.
Right.
It frustrates me.
Yeah, go off. Go off. You got this.
But
Tell people they're
that's
stupid. Tell them they're idiots.
hey, look, I only said that about Tricera and Stego players because it's objectively true. All right, everything else is subjective. I tell you.
But
Yeah.
otherwise, I don't think we have much other to talk about. I know for a fact I will be playing as the game launches. I plan on doing a 24-hour stream during the launch. So I will be grinding the game like no other.
Yeah. So again, just very quickly putting the time zones map thing on your screen now so that you can wake up very early or very late as possible so that you can play on release. Just as another thing as well related to this is that the game, as far as we're aware, because it's what was happening in all the beta tests and stuff, it won't be cross server because they have servers for each region. So if you have friends, if you're in EU like me and you have North American friends like me, you will have to make a separate character and grind the same stuff that you want to on that different server. So
Good
just a
thing
PSA.
is, though, you don't have to play that tutorial again.
Exactly. You can skip it on your main and your secondary. All I would say is just be careful of potential ping issues, especially if you are further away. Like the UK, especially, and the East Coast of America are generally the two widest parts of a big community that could play each other with a reasonable ping. But that's about it. I don't think you're going to get good
I'm
connections.
central, and I can usually play in UK servers,
Oh, okay.
in European servers, but that's just because I have fiber internet and I have about a gig and a half down and a gig upload. So
Mhm. This is also something that annoys me. I'm not going to go off on this, but when people say that somebody's internet is bad, it's potentially just because the routing from where they're coming from is terrible or just not as good.
yeah.
It's all about them undersea cables, man. What else? Was there anything just not in the notes that you wanted to go over very quickly, or are we able to move on to the questions?
I'm ready for the questions.
Beautiful. I'll just put the command back in there again. So we have 3 questions so far. First one from Birdie_Cloud. Do you think there's a chance they'll dip into VTuber skins, creator skins, voice packs, stuff like that?
Personally, I think yes, there is a chance of that, and the reason I say that is the fact that we've already seen collaborations during the Invitational with DSG and, if I'm not mistaken, Team Liquid.
Mhm.
So I wouldn't be surprised if stuff like that does come in the future.
Yeah.
Or you never know, we could see character cameos. Imagine, instead of a VTuber skin, you have the VTuber in the game itself. That'd be pretty cool.
That would. No, I'm not going to say it. I disagree.
Hey,
And that's what I'm
if
going to
you
say.
don't, it's personal preference.
Mm-hmm.
But
It's true.
it would be kind of funny. Imagine if there was a Titanfall Mecha Break collaboration.
Well,
You
no,
know,
that's sick. That's fine. Gundam, Evangelion, that's sick. But I don't want VTuber skins. Just
you
please.
don't want a VTuber yelling in your ear.
I don't want a VTuber voice pack. An insignia is fine. A pattern is just about pushing it because it covers the entire striker. Anything else, no, thank you. Please just leave it out. Insignias are fine.
But I feel like Mecha Break has set themselves up in a good space to where, at least for competitive events, they can definitely do team skins and stuff like that. But I could definitely see in the future at least some sort of collab happening. I wouldn't know really much past that because, All that stuff is stuff that CSUN does, and us little moderators don't have access to that information.
That's true.
So
That's very, very true. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a mod. I don't know anything. The second question is from Myth. Are there any roles or styles of strikers you'd most like to see in the game? Could be off of personal preference or say characters in other hero shooters. Parentheses, yes, Dan, I know Stellaris is my wet dream.
I'll let
Uh,
you respond to that whole statement about Stellaris there.
well, it's no secret. I love that stuff. I mained Samurai in Final Fantasy 14 for the longest time, and it's still like my go-to job. Metal Gear Rising is an amazing game. Ninja Gaiden is an amazing series. Devil May Cry, I want to play as Virgil, not only because he's cool, but because he's got katana. What else? I love Japanese culture. For Honor, I usually play the samurais because they're really, really cool. As well as them generally pretty
Right.
strong. Yeah, I just love that stuff. So, you know, yeah, Ghost of Tsushima is one of my top 5 games of all time. I'm sure Ghost of Yote will make it in there as well. I actually have a subathon going for Tsushima if you want to see me play the game for a long time. Yeah, that's just me. I
In
love that
terms
stuff.
of a unique striker I would want to see is we have strikers with very high air mobility. I would want to see a striker that is very good ground mobility.
Okay, explain.
Something that's in terms of like how I imagine it is just a striker that when in the air moves very slow, but
Hmm.
on the ground is able to like move around very fast. Like, you know how ice skaters, and when they get up to speed, they kind of zip around on skates?
Hmm.
They're very fast. Something similar to that, where they are a very quick mech on the ground that can maybe set down like traps, because I haven't seen traps really be used in
Oh,
Mecha Break at all. You
like a
know,
mine
like
layer.
right. So something along those lines where it could be more of a control-based mech that's very quick on the ground, but not so much in the air.
Yeah, I think that would be pretty cool. Kind of in the vein of those what are they called? Brain not working at the moment. I'm sure I'll think of it again. Yeah, I think I love melee. More melee mechs would be dope, but the variety that they're going with at the moment is pretty cool. I'm not unhappy with the level of variety that we have, and I'm not upset at what we're about to have.
Right.
So anything that they think of, unless it's something completely just off the wall mental, I don't know. Not that bothered at all. So I'm just making sure that I've got this other question down. It's from the YouTube side, so thank you very much. Right, next question. From Z over on YouTube, actually. Permission to ask, dear GP, are we going to get a trailer where Panther's head gets blown clean off, or what? For
Now,
context, Z plays Welkin and is terrified of Panthers, as well they should be, because the matchup sucks. But yeah, is there going to be that?
um, you know, I think there's going to be a trailer that comes out where Panther's blowing every single person's head off, and that's all we're gonna get. So, unfortunately, that's what we're gonna have to put up with, is more Panther abusing every other mech in the game.
I mean, yeah, it's Chris's main, right? There's not much we can do
Yeah.
about that. Unfortunately, maybe we'll change him. Maybe we'll be able to influence him to go, I don't know, Stellaris or Serenith or something. But what else can we do? And then I guess second to last question, counting the one that we've just had. Actually, no. Well, to be honest, thinking about the anime, we're getting one, or at least some kind of animated short series, if you want to call that an anime. I
Mhm.
don't care. which is dope. I think that they know that Mecha Break isn't supposed to be a story driven thing. So if they drop lore here and there with regards to new strikers that come out or whatever, that's cool. But having an animated short series is amazing,
It's
and
sick.
it's just
Yeah.
more dope shit from ASG. They stay winning, and I hope they just continue to win. So Machiavellius. Oh no, go. What were you gonna say?
No, I was just saying if they keep up with it, I think it has a chance to even kind of broaden the audience a little bit more.
Very
Especially
true.
especially if they're getting uploaded to YouTube and someone who watches anime just randomly stumbles upon it. It could pique their interest. So
Yeah,
it's
that's a
in, Amazing Season Games benefit to keep on producing more of those for us.
yeah, absolutely. That's the point. Do we know where it's going to air? Because I can't remember. Is it going to be just uploaded to YouTube?
I have no clue.
Okay, fair enough. I think on the one hand, if they upload stuff to YouTube, they're not going to make any money from it, but everybody's going to be able to watch it. But if they give it to, I don't know, Amazon or Crunchyroll or whatever, then you have to have a subscription to it. But I prefer
Yeah.
it all to go on YouTube. That would be cool. So yeah, second to last question, I suppose. Machiavellius, I remember you were here from the last podcast, so welcome back. I'd like to ask one question. Are we bound to get oh. I actually read the question. I actually answered the question before I read it. Are we bound to get a Mecha Break anime by how it's looking at the moment? I just got off work. Yes, there is an anime. It's coming. I guess is the first one about Falcon's pilot technically part of it, or is it just
No clue.
no? I don't.
We do
They're
not know a lot
releasing.
of information about it.
Yeah, as GP says, we know pretty much nothing about it other than it's going to tell stories of specific pilots wielding specific strikers, and the first one that we saw the teaser for from the 23rd of June stream, we're actually getting the Golden Falcon skin as a thing in game, as well as with the collector's edition. So yeah, there's going to be all of that lore dropping soon. And as somebody who really enjoys lore and has grouped together a bunch of little lore gnomes in a private chat, I personally can't wait for the game to drop and all this other stuff to come out. The next question. sorry to interrupt you, but the next question, which I guess isn't really a question, when will they nerf Panther? As a top tier mod on the Mecha Break main Discord server, can you tell us when Panther's going to get nerfed?
I'll put the word in that he should be buffed, and we'll be good from there. So,
Where's John when you need him?
the
John, are
more
you still here?
the,
We hate Panther.
everybody hates Panther. I hate Panther. Get rid of him. Just delete him from the game.
Delete him.
him. Yeah, just get rid of him from the game. I'm done with it.
Sorry, John. Oh no, that question was from John. I'm just not paying attention today. I do apologize, everyone.
That was from John.
It was from John.
That pace. We're gonna nerf him into the ground. Whatever John says goes. Yeah.
That's the point. Who is your boss, John? Who do you answer to? Because we'll go to that person, and we'll tell them to buff Panther into oblivion because you wanted it. Okay, last question. At approximately the same time as the heat death of the universe? Before, I'd say slightly before, but it's a good thing that we're getting Mecha Break before the heat death of the universe because it's going to be awesome, and hopefully the sun doesn't explode before the game dies.
Right. Mecha Break at the end of the day is just an excuse for me to do nothing and be lazy and not go outside. So
For sure.
whatever happens, happens.
As long as you've got your door locked and your windows closed, I think you'll be safe from whatever dangers may come your way. Right. So that is going to be the kind of tail end of the podcast. Thank you everybody for watching. We're going to do the housekeeping stuff now. So if you don't care about promo stuff, feel free to leave if you've been here for the whole thing. But GP, do you have anything you'd like to talk about? Any links,
I have
any
nothing
events?
else.
Or... No?
I got nothing to talk about. Just we're all ready for this game to come out. We've all been excited for a long time. The moderators in the Discord have been working. We've all been working hard to improve the Discord as best as we can and foster a community that everybody could be a part of and be happy with. And you know, at the end of the day, we're all here to have fun and enjoy a game that we're all passionate about. And as long as you enjoy what you're doing, that's all that matters.
Beautifully said, GP. So like I said, housekeeping stuff. We'll go through the commands first. I'm going to do !MB content this time because I remembered. I make a bunch of Mecha Break content. We've got 2 podcasts, the Moonbow Network and World Break, which features as one of the other incredible mods from the Mecha Break main Discord. It's basically, it's called World Break and it's about lore. It's really cool. The first 2 episodes are up on YouTube now. Go check them out. There's also some shorts from the last open beta, and there will be new stuff uploaded over time because this is going to be a main game for me. Second one is MB Discords. Please, depending on your region or even not depending on your region, go and enter the Discords. First one is the official Mecha Break community server. That's the first link. EU Mecha Broken, run by Lyrics and Gunlay. That's the second link. The third one is Mecha Scrim, run by Charlotte. Third link. And then Mecha Box, run by Millennium and Puppet. That's the final link. So finally, in regards to the commands, EU is running a tournament. So if you are in EU and you want to be a part of it, please head over to the sign up page, donate what you can to the Matcherino to give it a massive prize pool, and you have to join the Discord to participate. But if you don't want to participate in the event, just join the Discord and have some fun. Finally, I'm going to show the time zones again. As you can see, I'm a British man. The time that the game's going to open is 5 a.m., 5 in the morning. I get back from work at 11:30. I am going to try my best to get as much sleep as possible and then just down endless buckets of coffee. It's going to be one of the longer streams that I do because I have booked essentially 3 days off. So the Wednesday and the Thursday and the Friday. And I will be playing as much as possible. We'll be mostly doing Verge, but we'll be doing Mashmack and some Ace as well. And that's kind of everything you need to know. I guess one last thing. If you have enjoyed what you've seen today, even though it's been a little bit rambly on the sides there, please consider hitting that follow button on Twitch or that subscribe button on YouTube. I'm now multi-streaming both of them. And if you enjoy even more and you want to support a little bit more, you can always subscribe to the Twitch channel or donate on the link down below. Right, enough self-promotion. Thank you very much to GP for joining me. It has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you everybody from the YouTube and the Twitch streams for engaging in chat. Thank you for the questions. And for the last time, before we see you in Mecha Break, thank you for watching. Take care and stay safe. Second. Lovely jubbly.
I need a drink. It's a lot of talking.
I've been...